Good morning, everybody. Hello, hello. Good morning. We've got we've got Zoom filling up, and I've got Instagram going up there. I think looks right. Yeah, there we go. Hey, good morning and happy Monday. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is still just 10 o'clock, so I'm going to give everybody about a minute to get logged in. But we're super happy to see you all, and I know it's your last week of summer, so some of you are very excited about that because your children desperately need to be somewhere than in your house at the moment, and some of you maybe are a little sad, and some of you are out of town. So all emotions are okay and safe here at McAuliffe Middle School. All right, I'm Ryan Wieswright. For those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet yet, I am the principal here at McAuliffe Middle School, and this is my 4th year as principal, and it's been an absolute joy to be able to do this work with students, and I'm super excited just to have kids back on campus in person. The purpose of today's coffee connection is just to kind of give an overview, make sure that we address any questions that you have about school reopening and what registration is like this week. But also to talk a little bit about what health and safety protocols look like coming back into the classrooms. And then lastly, I am going to touch on the supports that we have in place for grief and loss in the wake of the death of the student that we had last week. And that's been very difficult. It's been very difficult for our community. And I think that I would be remiss to not mention it. I won't be able to monitor the chat while we talk today. But Mrs. Olmstead, our school counselor, Shelby, can you wave for those of you that can see? Yep, there she is, sitting outside on this beautiful summer day. We'll be monitoring the chat and answering questions, the ones that she knows the answers to, and anything else that we have left over at the end, I'll be able to tackle. So I do want to also say, I think that I mentioned it in my email. Well, I know I mentioned it in my email last night, but it might have been overlooked. We have an amazing administrative team here at McAuliffe Middle School. However, Mrs. Caraviena, who's been our assistant principal as long as I've been here, did take a position at the high school. And so we're really excited for her. Also, furious and angry. I will take anything that goes wrong this year. It's her fault for abandoning me. But that was just a really great opportunity for her to do work in counseling and college and career readiness. And if you know her, you know that that's a big passion for her. So I currently do not have an assistant principal. The position is open on EdJoin if you're interested in applying. It closes in a couple weeks. But we do have Mrs. Olmstead, who I just introduced, our school counselor, and then Mrs. Bergeron, who's our school psychologist. And so that's kind of our admin team. But any questions that you have, you can reach out to any of us and we help field it and put you in the right direction. With no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. All right. And I'm sorry if you're joining on Instagram, you won't be able to see my screen, but I am going to send out the recording and the slides after we're done today. So as I shared earlier, we've got 4 things that we're going over. We're talking about this week in registration, our health and safety guidelines. We're going to touch on grief and loss support, and we're also going to be speaking about volunteer opportunities. Since I have parents as a captive audience, no better time to go over it. So first up, this week is registration week, and it starts tomorrow, Tuesday, August 10th, for our 8th graders and our 7th graders. 8th graders, and this is mainly it's for students, especially if you have an 8th grader. They've done it before, although they've only done it once. But you don't necessarily need to come with them as a parent, but you also can. You can also come in their place. So we're really open to whoever ends up coming onto campus. It's open from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We did not split it up by alphabet because we know that some families it's easier to come first thing at 9 and some might have to wait until 10 or 10:15. No problem. Registration takes 20 to 30 minutes when you come. So you are not here for the full 2 hours. You'll be able to come, get your schedule, pick up your PE clothes and your locks. Minder binders will go out the first week of school, even if you do donate to pay for it tomorrow or Wednesday. And the locker setup happens at Eagle Spirit Night on Thursday. So you will not put the lock on the locker tomorrow. Rather, your student is encouraged to take the lock home so they can practice their combo over the next couple of days so that they're ready to go, because it's very stressful, especially for our 6th grade families. We love you. Your kid is going to be terrified opening their lock on the first day of school. So we want to make sure that they feel ready and able to put it on and off their locker. If you are an 8th grade family and you still have your lock from when you were in 6th grade, because we didn't use lockers last year, no problem, bring it with you. You probably may have forgotten your combination. We have a big book of combinations. We'll be able to look up your lock combo so that your 8th grader can remember what it is and then go home and practice with that. So 8th graders come from 9 to 11. And then 7th graders come between 12 and 2. So that's an open window for our 8th and 7th graders. On Wednesday, August 11th, that is our web day. Web stands for where everybody belongs. And that is for all new students. Primarily 6th graders are the ones that come to this, but we also have new students enrolling from 7th and 8th grade. And so if you did have a 6th grader, our Link crew students, which is like a student leadership group, did a lot of activities and fun, getting to know you, team building stuff. When you came for the 5th grade social in May or June, I can't remember, in the spring. Those same kids will be leading a lot of activities for Web Day. So Web Day is for students only, 6th, 7th, or 8th graders who are new to school. And that is followed by 6th grade registration. So Web Day is from 9 to 10 on Wednesday, August 11th. And then 6th grade registration is an open window from 10 to 12. So if you are a 6th grade family or a family of a new student, you are going to drop your kid off, or you can hang out. It doesn't matter to me, but there's nothing really structured for parents to do. And you won't hang out where the kids are. You could, hang out on campus until they're done with their web day activities, and then you could go through registration, or you could go get an iced coffee. It's totally up to you how you spend that 1 hour. And then we'll take the 6th graders through registration directly after that. So what to bring to registration. So I've sent out the registration checklist. You really only need the registration checklist if you are not paying online. So if you're paying online, all you need is a copy of your receipt. It could be a printed copy, it could be a copy on your phone. That's all you need. We don't need the checklist because everything that you've done was taken care of online. So I recommend doing it online. If that works for you, it's easy, it's convenient. You can do it all in one stop. If you are paying cash or check, there will be a different line for you where you will need the checklist. So you'll go to the front to one of our volunteers or to one of our office staff. You'll indicate what it is you're purchasing. So PE clothes are for purchase, and then PE locks, street locker locks, and the minder binder, we ask for a donation to offset the cost. So every child gets one of those regardless of whether or not they pay for it, but we do ask for a donation to help support the cost that those do come to the school. So we want to make sure that that runs smoothly tomorrow. So we have one line for people that have paid online, and we'll have a different line for people that are paying there in person. Either way, once you go to station 1, you turn in your checklist or your receipt, and then you'll go get your schedule, your lock, your PE clothes, check in at the PTA tent, get a popsicle, and you're done. So it is really fairly quick. Just kind of depends on how long the line is. But we play music, so you're not totally bored while you're waiting in line. And we do have the Link crew kids, like I said, running around on the 6th grade day to make sure that those 6th graders can tour the classrooms. Any student can tour the classroom, but student guided tours will be on Wednesday. Tour the classrooms, walk your schedule, kind of figure out where your classes are. But there's an additional opportunity to do that at Eagle Spirit Night, which I'll talk about in a minute. Lockers and locks. So each student's locker assignment is printed on their schedule. We will not be able to make locker changes at registration. So your child might be smaller than other kids, and then that you might find out on your schedule that you have a top row locker, and that's just not going to work. No problem. We won't be able to make that change at registration. Your child's core teacher, so their English language arts teacher, will be able to make that assignment during the first week of school. So each student's lockers are kind of situated near where their core class is. And we do that on purpose because it's a 2-period core. And so those kids have more access to their books, and they're there just kind of, it's a nice home base. But your core teacher will help facilitate for you if you need a locker change. You can set up your locker at Eagle Spirit Night on August 12th if you're able to join us. That's in the evening. We'll have food trucks. We're gonna have a performance by our choir. It's a great time to come in, put stuff up in your locker. The rules with setting up your locker, and by the way, you don't have to decorate it. I just know people like doing it. You can't like stick up wallpaper or stickers or anything that sticks to the side. Everything should be magnetic or easily removable, as you can imagine, because these lockers do get turned over. And you don't decorate the outside of the locker. It all happens on the inside. There's like a million different like do-it-yourself kits for how to decorate your locker. If you're interested in that, Target, Amazon, etc. It is a fun thing to do. Your lock for your street locker will go home with you at registration. Your PE lock will be given to you during PE. So we have two lockers. You have your PE locker in the PE locker room. You have your street locker outside on campus. The street locker lock goes home with you. We do it separately so that you don't get two combos confused in your head. They'll ultimately be confused anyway. But that just gives you some time to practice with your street locker. And then PE comes during that first week of school. Textbooks are all distributed during the first week of school as well. Almost all of your textbooks will stay at home. So we have a separate class set for books. The textbooks that you get during that first week of school, you'll take home so you have a set to work on at home. And then in the classroom, teachers have a class set of books. So you really don't need to worry about lugging textbooks back and forth. Binder binders, which is like our student agenda or planner where you write down your assignments and all that, that gets distributed by teachers during the first week of school. And then your PE clothes will go home with you at registration. So PE clothes will go home with you at registration, regardless of whether or not you bought one pair, two pair, whatever it is. And we also have parent volunteers that will write the student's name on the PE clothes so that they're labeled because they all look exactly the same. That's registration. Following registration on Thursday, August 12th this week, we have an open time from 5 to 6:30, which is really just a community event. We call it Eagle Spirit Night. Our spirit wear table will be set up so you can buy swag for the year. You can walk your schedule. You can see the performances from band and choir. You can set up your locker. You can connect with your friends and see what classes they have and do that class comparison. It's really just a fun way to get kids on campus together so that we can take any of the nerves away from showing up on Monday, the 16th. And so please join us anytime from 5 to 6:30. Parents are welcome. Grandma's welcome. Little brothers and sisters are welcome. It's just a fun community event. So a great way to get kids together. So please join us for Eagle Spirit Night. Miss McCall Spirit Wear is on sale. We have a couple new designs. I chose to sport one for our meeting this morning. And so if you'd like to purchase online, you can purchase online following these steps. That's also in your registration packet. Or you'll be able to purchase it both at Web Day and sixth grade registration for our new families, as well as at Eagle Spirit Night on the 12th. So you can order it online or you can pick it up in person. So that's Spirit Wear. And then McAuliffe, as part of the Los Alamitos Unified School District, really is promoting BYOD, bring your own device, as part of our way to make sure that students have even access to the online content that they need to do both in the classroom and at home. And so we have some recommended Chromebooks that you can access through our district website and kind of see which one might meet your students' needs better. If you do not have your own device, there are devices available for you to use at school, but we will not be checking out devices to go home this year. So last year, obviously because of distance learning, we did issue devices that went home with students. This year, we will not be doing that. We will be keeping the devices in the classroom, so your student will have access to a device throughout their instructional day. However, they won't be able to take that device home with them. So you will need, in most cases, a device for them to use at home. If that's not available, please feel free to reach out to me so that we can start brainstorming and figuring out ways to make sure that your kid has access to their Google Classroom and those types of online supports after school is out each day. All right. Health and safety guidelines. So I'm going to pause here and I'm going to look over the chat. I know Mrs. Olmsted's been manning it and make sure that I've addressed everything about registration. Any lock that was issued by McAuliffe is totally acceptable to bring. Doesn't matter what year it came from. And will the code for the locker locks be printed on their schedule? No, gosh, I wish. That would be a nice feature. No, unfortunately, we're not able to put the combo on the schedule. If you volunteered to help on Wednesday, usually Mrs. Vienna sends out an email. You know what, Elke? Just as I said earlier, Mrs. Vienna is at fault for anything that goes wrong this year. Yes, you are confirmed. If you signed up to volunteer, please come and volunteer. What needs to be paid for on Tuesday for 7th grade registration? We're looking for, if you're purchasing PE clothes, you buy the PE clothes, and a donation for the minder binders and the locks if you are donating for that. Food trucks will be at Eagle Spirit Night. Unfortunately, we don't have Venmo for registration, but you can purchase online through our online web store. Um, Oh, okay. So can we use Otto's old locker as a memorial to leave cards for the family? That's a very nice question, Mr. Wrist. If you would like to bring a card for Otto's family, we're going to actually collect that here in the well space because we didn't use lockers last year. We're now looking at a locker that Otto might have used, 2 years ago. And I feel like that doesn't have the same impact. So our sort of impromptu memorial for Otto's family is going to happen here in the well space where we'll collect things and then donate it to the family when it's an appropriate time. No, you cannot bring your own locks. The locks have to be issued by the school. That way we can be able to keep track of the combo and unlock them when there is an issue. All lockers are subject to search, just so you know. I feel like that needs to be said. Um, Student IDs. So you will get your student ID after picture day. So Oak, if you have a kid at Oak or friends at Oak, Oak does it a little bit differently. They do pictures at registration. We do pictures in the first couple weeks of school. So after picture day, your child will get their ID card. Do parents come on site for registration and web day or just drop off? That is up to you. There is no parent activity for either of those things. I've seen it done both ways. It's really up to you and your comfort. We don't need a parent present for either of those things. When can parents meet their child for the registration obtaining schedule process? After web day, Jennifer Leno, I think is your question. You can, all of the activities for the kids on web day is done in the outdoor amphitheater. And then you can come on campus in the middle of all the tables, you can't miss it, where registration is, to meet your student. If we ordered Spiritware online, can we get our orders during registration? I believe so. I believe so. That's a great question. All right. And then sixth grade registration is the 11th. Eagle Spirit Night is from 5 to 6:30. And yes, you can reuse a lock that was issued in a previous year. I'm going to keep moving forward. Thank you, Mrs. Olmstead, for continuing to answer all these questions. I'll check back in after health and safety guidelines. Your student ID number, Brian, you can find in your student's Aries account. It's right there on the main page. If not, we can look that up for you as well. Just call the office. All right, health and safety guidelines. So you hopefully have read this from Dr. Pulver. Just so you know, the district, and I think that this has been made clear, but if not, I'd like to say it anyway. We don't set the guidelines. So our schools and the schools in California respond to the direction that comes from the California Department of Public Health. And so the latest guidance from the California Department of Public Health is that we do universal masking when we are indoors when students are present. So vaccinated, unvaccinated, child, adult, whoever it is, if we are indoors and there are children indoors, then we wear a mask. So that means students will be wearing a mask when they're in the classroom. They may take their mask off when they go outside. Same with adults. Adults will be wearing their masks or a face shield. It says that teachers are allowed to wear a face shield for pedagogical reasons. The students cannot wear a face shield, but if a teacher puts on a face shield for the purposes of instruction, picturing like, especially in our primary grades where students are really learning how to speak by watching their teacher, or if our teacher is doing a read aloud and they really need to be able to be heard a little bit better, they can switch to a face shield that has I forget what it's called, but like a neck covering, like a drop that goes from the bottom of the shield under their neck. Students do need to wear a regular mask. When you're outside, masks are totally optional. So that goes for everybody, adults and students. And then vaccinated adults do not need to wear masks when students are not present indoors. So that means if I'm having a staff meeting and we are inside, my teachers all sign an attestation stating whether or not they've been vaccinated. If they've been vaccinated, they do not need to wear a mask. If they have not, they do need to wear a mask. And so that's really for adults only. It doesn't really apply to most of what we do at a middle school. There isn't a ton of times where we do have parents on campus in rooms with students. So if you're volunteering at a registration that's largely outside, the only thing that's inside is where you get your PE clothes. So if you're inside for PE clothes, those volunteers will be wearing a mask. And then families, as you go into the mini gym to get your PE clothes, you will need to put a mask on. And when you exit the mini gym, you can take the mask off. So that's kind of where we are at with masks at this time. What I'm hearing is there will be updated guidance probably in November. Again, I don't make the guidance. I just report what we need to do to be compliant with the California Department of Public Health and really ensure the safety for all of our students and staff. So let's talk a little bit about close contacts. Last spring and last year, if a child was within 6 feet of another student for longer than 15 minutes, they were considered a close contact. So then if that student tested positive for COVID-19, that the student that was the close contact had to go home on a quarantine. The updated guidance from the California Department of Public Health states that we can do a modified quarantine. So if your child is in class and sits next to a kid who tests positive for COVID-19, obviously the kid who tests positive will stay home until they're clear to come back to school. But your student who is a close contact can continue to come to campus as long as they remain asymptomatic. And we track it for 10 days, remain asymptomatic and take 2 negative COVID tests per week. And so the district is looking to provide those take-home tests. So I'm going to play this out and make it up. Let's say that, and I'm going to say John, because you're on my screen. John's student is in class and the kid next to him has COVID-19. I'm going to call John and I'm going to say, your student is considered a close contact. They can continue to come to school as long as they're not showing any symptoms. Here's what the symptoms are. And then here's 2 take-home tests so that you can give your kid the take-home test before bringing them to school. They need to do that twice a week. So that's a vast improvement from where we were last spring, where students did have to stay home for 2 weeks. And so this is a much better situation. I agree that it is not ideal, but what has been ideal in the last year and a half? So we're gonna make the most out of it, but that is the current guidance when it comes to quarantine and close contact. I'm gonna take questions on the health and safety guidelines and see kind of where we're at. Shelby, I don't know if I'm missing anything. I'm seeing a question about taking your child for lunch every day until they get vaccinated. We actually have been asked that. So as a parent, you have every right to take your kid off campus for lunch. That's not included in what we consider the student's attendance day or instructional minutes. And so if you would like to come and take your student off campus for lunch, no problem. We have a 30-minute lunch time. Just make sure that they're back on time for 5th or 6th period, depending on what grade they're in. There is no social distancing inside the classrooms. Thanks for asking that, iPad 2. The current guidance is there is no requirement for how far apart students are. So classes are back to 27, 28, all the way up to 33 students. And so students will be within close proximity of each other. If a child is positive with COVID, what's the return policy? I believe it's 10 days from the first day their symptoms start. So if a student tests positive for COVID-19, they can return 10 days after the start of their symptoms. And our school nurses will work with you to make sure that that's really clear. Are parents of students in class with asymptomatic fellow student alerted to that asymptomatic student in their child's class? Vanessa, I'm gonna read your question one more time and make sure I understand it. Are parents of students in class with asymptomatic fellow students alerted to the no? So we won't tell you, hey, because if a student is asymptomatic, we're not saying that they're positive but asymptomatic. We're saying that they're negative and asymptomatic. So we wouldn't notify families about that. We will notify families when there is a positive test in a classroom that your child has. So if again, Ryan is test positive for COVID-19 and your kid has math class with Ryan, we will let you know you were in class with somebody who tested positive. And then if you're a close contact, you'll get a personal phone call from me or from a member of our team that says your son or daughter was a close contact with somebody in their math class. The close contact definition has not changed. So it's still somebody who's within 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes in a 24-hour period. Desk shields are not being used in the classroom. There is no social distancing during lunchtime. So outside you can do whatever. The students are able to come and go and be where they want to be. Will the cubicles still be up? And if yes, do the kids have to wear the mask mandate? There are no longer desk shields in the classroom. So it is just face masks in the class. Will kids continue to sanitize desks at the beginning of class? Great question, Nanette. So we no longer are required to do the alcohol sanitizing wipe. before each class. However, they will be available. So if a student would like to grab one and wipe down their desk before they take a seat at it, that will still be there, but it won't be a mandatory thing to enter the classroom. We will continue to have the robust safety precautions and cleaning procedures that we've had after school and before school. There will continue to be air filters in the classroom. So air filtration devices that we put in last year will continue to be in the classroom. Will the 2 tests need to be given within a specific time frame? They need 2 per week. So for every 5 days, they'll need to show 2 tests to be able to stay at school. Are the masks required outside? No, masks are completely optional for everybody when outside. I think I've got the questions so far. I'm sorry if I've missed anybody. The recommendation, there is no clear guidance on whether or not doors need to be open for ventilation in classrooms. However, we continue to know that fresh air is a deterrent for the spread of COVID-19, and we will be encouraging teachers to keep their doors open for ventilation. You also do have to think and picture with us, the most kids that we had on campus last year was about 450. And so doors open with 450 kids on campus, it was a lot quieter than doors open with now we're back up to 1,100 kids on campus, full classroom next door, full PE classes. So we're gonna have to balance that with noise as well. And we also have outdoor learning spaces available. So teachers can use any of our outdoor learning spaces to do class outside when they want to have like a mask break or that type of thing. The school does not provide weekly testing, only for students who have been identified as a close contact. Is there a difference in the testing requirement for vaccinated versus unvaccinated kids? Great question. Thank you. I'm so sorry I didn't address this. So, and I forget that we do have a fair amount of students who have been vaccinated. So if your student is vaccinated and they are a close contact, there is no testing requirement. They still need to remain asymptomatic, keep their mask on in class like everybody else, but there's no testing requirement if they've been vaccinated. Child bring their device on the first day of school. Yes, we would encourage them to start the year by bringing their device and just getting used to that routine. Will students have to wear masks while in PE? No, because they are outside. Will the district continue to report positive COVID cases for each school? Yes, that will continue to be updated on our district dashboard. Are we submitting vaccination status? For the student, no. But when we ask, when the event comes up that maybe your student is a close contact, and you say, well, my student's been vaccinated, then we will ask for verification of that vaccination. The close contacts that might become positive cases are going to be masked mandated when PR, choir, or music. If a close contact is allowed to be at school, they will follow the same guidance that any indoor guidance stipulates. So there are special masks for playing instruments inside. And for choir, you have, if you're inside, you're still masked when you're singing. And at PE, you can take your mask off regardless. You know, Elke, I'm going to address that question with you offline, if you don't mind. Sorry. Whew, gosh, there's a lot of questions. Do students bring device to registration to set up their district account firewall? We are new to the district. Great question, Dr. Bober. So if you have your own device, there is a link on the district's BYOD page for the secure browser that you, or the certification that you'll need to download in order to use that device with school. You can bring it at registration. You don't need to though. It really can be done at home very easily. Ms. Bell, if you'd like to email me that question, I'd be happy to address it offline. Just to clarify, if a student is a close contact but says they're vaccinated, would they show the school proof? Yes, they will. We will ask for verification, Ms. Vance, if a student is vaccinated, so that to waive the 2 tests a week requirement once they're established as a close contact. If the child is quarantined at home, is that considered absence? Will they have homework to cover missed classes? Ms. Soberano, our goal with a student who is quarantined at home will be to allow them to live stream into the classroom, and that will not count as an absence. And Ms. Olmstead will also support that work. Where was the certification link? It's on the losal.org, I believe, /BYOD. Or if you look under programs, Tiffany, under BYOD, you'll be able to see where the certification link is for your own device. Is there any possibility of school going back on hybrid or virtual due to many positive cases? Mr. Wrist, unfortunately, anything is possible. We don't currently have plans for either of those models. We plan on keeping school open, and I believe the California Department of Public Health also plans that. In the interest of time, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to move through the other slides of the presentation, and then I'll just stay on and answer any questions that are left, because I know that some of you want to get to the beach. So obviously, we have shared very publicly about the loss of our student, Otto Burba, and want to make sure that you all know that that is going to continue to be something that we are aware of and offering support for kids as they return to campus. And so the parent webinar has been emailed out. If you'd like to view that, we've been partnering with the Orange County Department of Ed to make sure that we have grief and loss supports available. We will continue to offer virtual therapy sessions for both parents and students as needed. So you just call our office and I set you up with a Zoom link so you can speak to a mental health provider from the county to kind of navigate if you need additional support or be able to discuss what you have going on. And then moving forward, we do have Dr. Jensen, Dr. Kirsten Jensen, who many of you may know from elementary school, joining our staff 2.5 days a week. And she will provide some mental health support and be forming some groups for students that may need additional support with grief and loss counseling, and also putting kids into small groups as needed. And I will continue to update and provide resources as appropriate for you as parents and talking with your kid. I know that this is the type of conversation that many of you, if not all of you, have not had with your child before, and that's a good thing. You haven't had to have it. However, it does open up a window for us as a school and for you as parents to engage in a really difficult topic with your kid, but also to make sure that they're safe and that they're keeping their friends safe. And so we have a bunch of tips, for lack of a better term, and how to talk to your kids about suicide and a suicide death, and making sure that you continue to keep those lines of communication open with you and your child. And we will continue to do the same. Lastly, volunteer opportunities, and I know that's an interesting segue. We do have registration days, which I've sent the sign up out for. And if you are not able to make it to those, or if you would like to sign up for those, please just email me directly and I'll help navigate that. And then a sign up will be coming out soon for the week of August 16th, the first week of school, for textbook distribution. So for some parents to help pass out books in our media center. And then please join our PTA. So you'll have a great opportunity to join our PTA. That was part of your registration packet as well. We'll have a PTA table set up tomorrow when you're here for registration, and there'll be a chance for you to sign up then. So that is all that I have as far as the presentation goes. I will continue to stay online because we are still getting questions, but for the majority of you that feel good, this has all been recorded and I will be sharing it out with families that weren't able to join. I just want to say lastly, and in closing, that we know that coming back to school presents problems and stressors in any year for any student. You compound that with coming out of the pandemic and now being on campus full time, and there are different views on what it means to be masked or unmasked. We also know that losing a classmate and a student is incredibly traumatizing for all students and potentially triggering for everybody. I just want you to know from my heart that what we care most about is your kid and them feeling safe and loved and supported when they're at school. And so we will continue to make sure that we do that and that we have supports in place for students as we navigate this school year. I am always available. Well, not always. I do have a life a little bit, but you can email me anytime with any questions. Really want to make sure that you feel good about what we have in store for your kid this year. And I look forward to seeing all of you over the next couple of days. So if you don't have any questions, feel free to sign off. Otherwise, I'm going to go back up to the chat and see where we're at. Oh, there's a lot there. Will students be able to see where their locker is at registration, or will that be on kickoff night? They'll be able to see their locker, but they can't set it up till kickoff night. Mrs. Olmstead, looks like you're nailing those questions. Registration should take about 30 minutes, absolutely. Students can volunteer. We are happy to have student volunteers. Crystal Aduba, please let me know though if your student's gonna come to volunteer. For students skateboarding to school, is there a board lockup similar to where bikes are locked? There is, yep. We have a locker cage for skateboards as well as bikes. Oh, thank you, Leanne. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for those nice, kind messages. We really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. School hours. That's a great question. Tracy Plummer. Did Shelby respond? Because I feel like I forgot. 8:45 to 3:10. Our normal day is 8:45 to 3:10. On Wednesdays, we dismiss at 2:05. On Wednesdays, we dismiss at 2:05 every Wednesday. Do kids bring their school supplies in their backpack? Yes, they do. So bring your school supplies, not to registration, but on the first day of school. And then, will the outpost be operating same as normal besides masks? Yes, there will. Outpost hours are back to normal. You can sign up through our website or through the district website for outpost aftercare support. We're new to the district. Are there sports teams? Does everyone make the team? Unfortunately, at middle school, we don't really have athletic teams. And so we have intramural sports that happen during lunch periods. We have 4 different ones that take place throughout the year, but we don't have a competitive team that plays against other schools. What time will the school gates be open if I'm dropping off my child on regular school days? We will open the gate onto campus at 8:30, 15 minutes before the start of first period, but the outdoor amphitheater will be open beginning at 8:20, 8:25 for students to wait until we open campus gates. Zero period will not be available for 6th graders. Our only zero period is for advanced choir and advanced band students, and those are audition groups only. You can absolutely bring your school supplies on kickoff night when you decorate your locker and put your school supplies in the locker. Fabulous. If you're not able to make any of our registration times, including makeup on Friday, you can come in Monday morning or anytime during that first week of school. Schedules will all be posted on Aries, but any child who needs to get their PE clothes, their locks, all that, you can get that Monday, you can get it Tuesday. It's totally up to you. Just come in a little bit early and know that we're shorthanded because Mrs. Vienna abandoned me. We will have an inter-school track and field meet that happens around April or May. For bus riders, will they be able to eat breakfast? Yes, and we are providing free breakfast, as you've seen through the district messages, and lunch for any student who wants it. PE clothes are available for purchase. Yep, please refer to the registration packet for that information. Morning study hall will likely open after the first 2 weeks of school. We'll advertise when that happens. The library and media center, currently we do not have a schedule for it to be open after school, but if we do make that available, I'll make sure to let everybody know. Breakfast will begin by 7:45 every morning, and they will be allowed on campus to get their breakfast. Will there be sports for kids to join like basketball? I think I answered that one about the sports. We do intramural sports throughout the year, and those are open to everybody. It's not tryout, really anybody gets to play. Do you still sell snacks? And if so, how do the kids pay? Yeah, so our full cafeteria will be open at lunchtime again, including like a snack window as well. Students typically pay with their student ID number. Purchase a meal plan online. Yes, Jenny Poe, through the district website. What time are students dropped off at school when taking the bus? And that really varies, Miss Alfaro, on how fast the bus is going, but it does get here in time for them to make it to first period. Snacks are not free. Snacks are for purchase. Kids will start changing into PE clothes. Oh, sorry, I missed a question. Will the homework club be running in the school year, the morning or afternoon? We will definitely be starting a morning homework club after the first couple weeks of school. There's no homework the first week of school typically, and so we don't have it open then. And we'll announce when that happens. Kids will start changing into PE clothes probably by the second week of school, but the PE teachers will communicate that with students once they get the lockers assigned, the locks assigned, and all that stuff. Should we use the school supply list on the website or wait for the teachers to give specific items? I would wait for teachers to tell you what you need. You can use the website list as kind of like a guidepost to have some basics to get started. That's very different from elementary school. Each class kind of requires different things, and it's very little as well. Speaking as the dad that just bought elementary school supply kits for 2 kids, what they need at middle school is very different. Snacks are cashless this year. They must have money on their account. Thank you, Cynthia Miller. I appreciate that. I did not know the answer. So it does not look like they can buy snacks with cash. To put money on their account, you're going to access through the nutrition services link on our district website. So go losal.org, look for the nutrition services and create the student account and do all of that there. That way the kid just punches in their ID number and they're able to debit from there. So nutrition services. Shelby, will you write that down for me also so that I include that in an update? Yes, the student ID is their number on Aries. Any other questions? All right, so with no other questions coming in, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, rweiswright@losal.org if you don't know my email address. I will record this and share the recording at the end of today. But again, we're so looking forward to seeing all of you, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.